Coming up on today's Locked On Senators, no voice means big wins. Ottawa opens its home portion of the regular season with matching 5-2 victories over Philly and Tampa.
And the CTC was rocking for both of those games. So all the Sens fans in attendance are Sens Central standouts, but we figured we'll cover a few players as well.
And all the extracurriculars that happened around the game. That's all coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome to episode 895 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller in the heart of our nation's capital in Ottawa, Ontario. Reminder, you can Lock On Senators wherever you get your podcasts. We are also free and available on YouTube. You can find us on social media at Sens Central on Twitter, lockedon.senators on Instagram. Today's episode is brought to you by the Sleeper app. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Today is Monday, October 16th, and Pilsy, where do you want to start?
Honestly, Ross, that is a great question. There's so much to cover. You know what? I'll start with this. Being a Sens fan and having back-to-back Sens games at the CTC and back-to-back wins was such a treat. I mean, the vibes were at an all-time high. As you can see, that's one of our labels on our little graphic here. Vibes all-time high, because that's legit. The vibes were so good. It was so great seeing everybody. The home opener is it's a must attend if you're a Sens fan. And Ross, you were saying what the attendance was 107% at the CTC for the home opener. That is absolutely wild. So it was great coming back to the nation's capital, my second home, and seeing everybody at the games. What an absolute blast.
It was the best. It really was. They put on a show, and now for the third straight year, Ottawa scores within the first 5 minutes of the home opener.
Yeah, that gets the place rocking. Chikrin with that wrister to get things going. Ooh.
And then he doubled down. He was unreal this weekend. We'll save our Sens Central standouts for the next segment because we could go so many different ways. I almost want to start chronologically because we haven't talked. That's the best way. We haven't talked since Daniel Alfredsson was just named. Like, that was the last episode. Alfie was back. Since then, he was introduced, by the way, as a member of the strength and coaching staff. I got some hot takes on Daniel Alfredsson. I was sprinkling those into the citizens that we were chatting with all weekend long. And no, just overall, like, Lyndon Sluage coming in. It was the easiest call to make, but neither of us, it went right over our head. But having him back, he's still got it, by the way.
Oh, the voice is there. And put up another W for Michael Andlauer. Like, the guy just gets it. Like, Ross, we should have thought about Lyndon Sluage coming back, but it had been so long, and we were trying to think, okay, how are they going to hype this up that Daniel Alfredsson is already back in the mix?
They
How
still
can they top it?
They still used another Alfie bullet, though, having him and Chris Neal and Chris Phillips out there, and Frank Finnegan Jr.
Frank Finnegan was in the building. That was nuts. All the retired players came, and that was a wild picture to see all those guys together.
Which picture is more legendary, though? The opening faceoff with Victor Hedman, Brady Tkachuk, and the four guys we just mentioned, the guys whose names and numbers are up in the rafters at the CTC, or the photo of Alfie, Tkachuk, Claude Giroux, and his young son.
I mean, put them all in the Hall of Fame. Those are all incredible pictures, and wow. Like, Ross, we're not even talking about the games yet, and I'm already getting emotional. Just the people they brought out, they know how to get you. You were crying when Lyndon Sluage came out. There's tears in your eyes.
I'm the Nick Sirianni. Is that the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles? We tweeted out at Sens Central. It's something about home openers that just get me fired up.
Oh, especially when Lyndon Sluage brings it out. The wink was all time. Awesome.
Just the best, man. And then, yeah, like this, both games, they finished 5-2. They couldn't have gotten there in any different way, though.
They started off so hot. Both games, they were out shooting Philly and Tampa 20, and both the teams had less than 10 shots. Like, they were flying out of the gate, which is something you mentioned, Ross. You said fly out of the gate, get the crowd into it. And Brady Tkachuk, both times, first star, both
The
games,
best.
not a big deal. Both of his bench interviews, kind of the first thing he mentions is he looks up at the crowd and he's like, "This is so awesome that you guys are all here." And the crowd goes nuts and the Brady chants start going. So
we're all over the place, but we have to mention in terms of the home opener, I don't know if it's now a good omen, but I was a little nervous when the starting goalie bit the ice over the cord.
Forsey, like,
Can we get some wireless cameras?
we need the wireless cameras, although it's a tough look when you're the only guy that trips on the cord. And I thought he was going slow, and I was like, okay, he knows the wire's there. And then he's still going, and he's not lifting or anticipating. I'm like, oh no, Forsey.
And then he brought the cord with him. Like, there was some give to it, and it was like, oh no, it's gonna happen, bang.
And for a guy that blew both MCLs at the same time, the last thing you want to see is him trip on a cord and fall on his knees. But luckily the pillows were there and everything was all good.
But maybe that's what he needed. You know, some guys, they say, hey, I need to take a hit early. I need to get into the game. Forsey's like, I just need to feel the ice.
There we go. Hey, worked out fine.
Wow. What a weekend. What a weekend. We got standouts to get to. Like, let's touch on the Palooza too, because I couldn't believe what Martian pulled off.
We're getting to the Palooza this early.
We're just jumping around at like the biggest highlights of the weekend overall.
Yeah. Don't expect too much analytically and chronologically correct statements from us. This is an all vibes podcast, as most of our in-person ones at the Levitan House are. So we're flipping around.
I'm also on a 3-for-3 home opener streak of losing my voice.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not losing your voice, you're not heckling hard enough for us.
But I wasn't heckling this weekend.
Yeah, neither teams gave us anything to really get mad at. Like,
No.
it was
Few sucks.
we don't talk about the refs on this show, though.
No, but if we did,
Back to Martian Palooza.
crazy.
My God. There's two things Martian can do very well.
Fill in on the postcast.
Obviously. The streets don't miss. That stays hot. And this guy can throw not a party, but a palooza. Martian Palooza was absolutely insane. Thanks to everybody that showed out. Thanks to Buster's Pub. That was a great spot for it. And we had an absolute time. And getting to celebrate a win at the home opener and then have 300 people get together and just party doesn't get any better, if you ask me.
No, it really doesn't. And just the way that Sens fans are so welcoming, it really does feel like going into church at the CTC. You pull up, and before we even got to the premise, people, we're saying go Sens go, and we absolutely love to see that. If you're watching YouTube, by the way, we went real goofy with this ticker, so enjoy that one. I also want to pull up this, and yeah, if anyone's looking for like anything in particular, we'll probably get to it, but it's going to be all over the place today. Jacob Chychrun, because this kind of goes with Lyndon Slewage here, admitting to getting emotional, and who can't relate with that?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of tears, happy, joyous tears in the CTC when that started.
Just the nostalgia. You gotta tap into it, and that's what the Senators have been doing so well at the last little while. And Chychrun just feels like he's going to be a Senator for a long time.
I think he wants to be. I'll just say that. It seems like that's a guy that likes to be in Ottawa.
It's amazing to see the turnaround of the vibes of this organization so quickly, and a well-earned day off today. Oh, one other thing, and we do have to get into some standouts in particular. Dude, what was that wooing last night?
It was it caught me off guard. There was a lot of somebody tweeted like Ric Flair was in the building, and that's what it sounded like. It sounded like the Ric Flair woo, and it caught me off guard a little. And then after a while, I was like, this is really hitting. Like the people are rocking it. We're loving the woos apparently. So that was a lot of fun in the second game.
It was amazing. I don't know if they did it in the home opener.
I didn't notice it. Beyond the "We Want Pinto" chants, it was hard to hear anything.
What'd you think about that?
I mean, it's fine. It's a truthful statement. I want Pinto. I'm sure you want Pinto. So we want Pinto. That's correct.
Our guy Nick Spence said the team listened, and now everything is bean based.
Yeah, that's great
at the concessions. But I mean, I'm sure you appreciated it, but at the same time, there's 18 guys out there, and one of them, they're all looking around. And Ian and Mendez, our guy, admitted to asking Joseph how it's been playing with Pinto. I'll lie.
Oops.
Of all guys to say it too as well.
Yeah.
Hey, it's early in the season for them too. But hey, overall, an amazing weekend. 5-2 wins over Philly, over Tampa. How did they happen? Who stood out? We'll get to all that next, probably in a jumbled order. Couldn't be worse than the Sportsnet highlight pack of the Sens game. That was jumbled chronologically as well. But we'll get all to those standouts. And Belleville opened their season, and a friend of the show earned a career first. So we'll get to that next. You're listening to Locked On Senators.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Sleeper. Guys, Brady Tkachuk was so close to scoring a hat trick. Jacob Chychrun almost had a hat trick. The Ottawa Senators are en route to winning a Stanley Cup. And if you want to win 100 times your money, play daily fantasy hockey on the Sleeper app, guys. The Sleeper app is our go-to spot for daily fantasy sports, not just hockey, football. You got basketball, you got baseball, whatever it is, you can find it on Sleeper. Sleeper is the top choice, and you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. If I'm looking for players to take in daily fantasy, Ross, especially when they're at home,
Brady Tkachuk, Jacob Chychrun, Jake Sanderson, Claude Giroux, Timmy Stützle. There was a lot of guys. Vladimir Tarasenko. He loves being in Ottawa, especially once his family makes the trip. He definitely had a bounce back after the first game. And don't forget, you could play other sports as well, including college football. What I love so much about the Sleeper app is you can talk smack to your friends as a group chat, and hey, time is money. Time is money. So you can get all your picks in under a minute, and you can have odds at winning 100 times your payout. So with studs like Brady, Claude, Vladimir Tarasenko, you need to pick the right stats like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more. You heard me, Sens fans. 100-time payout on Sleeper. So start paying attention and get your picks in right, and you could win big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's Locked On NHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at Farm to Fork. Farm to Fork Delivery.ca. It's a premium meat and seafood delivery service that's going to bring it right to your door. And what we love about Farm to Fork is that it's absolutely delicious. You need that when you're getting any sort of cuisine. And when you get Farm to Fork, go see their 5-star reviews. But it's also all natural, antibiotic, and hormone-free, ethically raised. And what we also love is that because you buy them in bulk, sometimes you worry. Like I used to buy from those other guys, those frozen chicken where you get 50 and you're like smashing it against your counter, like trying to break them up. You can't have that. Here, they are flash frozen individually right at the butcher's table. So you know it's fresh and you can pull out just what you need.
Ask Craig Anderson about dealing with frozen chicken. It can be dangerous, Ross. You don't want to have to do that.
The products are individually vacuum packed, so take out only what you need. Free and convenient delivery, save on gas, save time. It's great. Stain your sweats, and they will give you notifications as soon as it's nearing your home. Sustainable seafood, poultry, everything. Go to farmtoforkdelivery.ca and use our promo code LOSP10 for 10% off your first purchase. That's LOSP10 for 10% off your first purchase at Farm to Fork. Farmtoforkdelivery.ca. Taste the Farm to Fork difference. You will never go back to grocery store meats. Welcome back to Locked On Senators. The vibes are high. The Sens are 2-1 on the season, 2-0 at the Canadian Tire Center.
It's good to be home. I mean, Ross, this is your home. This is my second home. The Senators players, they love being here. The PAC CTC helped these guys get the 2 dubs, and 2-1. I like that a lot better than how last year started. So,
well, yes, it started 0-2, and then they came home, but they won all the games at home right away. So now they've got 3 more opportunities to do that. They're going to have the Washington Capitals here on Wednesday. Yep. They're going to have the House Cat and the Red Wings here on Saturday, and it'll finish off next Tuesday against the winless Buffalo Sabres. Will they still be winless in a week and 2 days? Cannot confirm or deny, but this is a winnable stretch. They need 2 of the next 3. I'm getting greedy.
I think that definitely they can beat up on the Washington Capitals, and then I know Sens fans are rolling their eyes and seeing Alex DeBrincat score goals in a Red Wings jersey, but I'm not too concerned.
Less points than Tarasenko.
There you go. There you go.
That's actually a good lead in to the Sens Central standouts of the weekend. I mean, we have to start with the captain. What more is there to say about this guy? 11 shots on goal, 4 goals, and assist. Made sure that his goalie got an assist on the empty netter last night.
Yep.
We love the goalie-friendly show aspect of Brady Tkachuk. He like the video that with the Ottawa Fire Department coming in, that's going to be the player of the game this year. We retire the bike helmet and shades. We retire the goggles, the chain, the one-game chain, retired. Now it's something that's meaningful to the community. And getting that firefighter helmet, the captain's helmet, and Brady seemed like he was starstruck to see the firefighters when they came in to give it to him. So an amazing weekend for Brady Tkachuk. And you could just tell this guy, he is Ottawa. He's not even from the country. I mean, he's got roots, but I mean, he's not even from Canada. And this guy just, he gets it.
Yeah.
You can't say that about everyone. Brady gets it. And then he comes out and like, that's not a goal. Like the one that really put it away in the third period. That's not a goal Brady scores 2-3 years ago.
No, and that's the thing, Ross. Like, that's a confident play. I got to shout out Jake Sanderson, that assist, that bank pass, the stretch bank pass off the boards. Radish had no clue what was going on. He was turned inside out, and he was not ready for Brady's speed on that one.
Turnipped inside
Radish
out.
is turnipped inside out. And how about that smooth move? And that's like Brady just showed the type of power forward he could be. Like, those were all pretty much power forward goals. Like, he was strong driving the lane there, that little backhand tuck, and then in front of the net, Mark Stahl tried to abuse him. He still gets the goal, and then he does the muscles, Selly. So I'm so glad this guy's our captain. Like, we are just so blessed.
We really are. It's awesome to see because like you can tell it means so much to him too that Ottawa has a successful. He's been here through like the entire rebuild and like how bad things were for so long. But now you're looking at it and you're like, wow, the vibes are unbelievably high and you got to just hope that they continue. So Brady Tkachuk is easily the number one standout, first star in both games. Like, he was throwing his weight around a little bit, didn't have to do too much in that sense, but like, this guy, man, and like the stick with itness. And how about his first goal against Tampa? Jumps off the bench, goes right to the front of the net, takes the shot. It gets blocked. Does he give up? No. Gets his rebound and gets the goal. So no, Brady Tkachuk, man, he leads by example. He leads emotionally, leads physically, and this guy just had a heck of a weekend. It's only going to get better, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I wish they could play all their games at home because this guy is absolute beast at home. And speaking of a guy that gets it and loves being in Ottawa, I think we can transition to the next Sens Central standout, Ross, and that's Jacob Chychrun. I mean, to score not only the first goal at home at the home opener, but tack on the second goal as well. And that stare down he gave the Phillies bench, that was awesome. Like, it cannot be overstated how incredible Jacob Chychrun's shot is. Like, that thing is exploding off his stick. The amount of power he got on that first wrister, and then his release when he gets that one-timer teed up properly is.
And we had a perfect view. Like, Tarasenko put juice on that pass. Like, that was not an easy one to take a one-timer on.
No, but Jacob Chychrun seems to handle it just well. And
18 goals until he hits your hot take.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's going to happen sooner rather than later, I think. So I'm definitely stoked about that. And yeah, just seeing a guy that came in last year and didn't get to play as much as he'd hoped with injuries, but is just so happy and so proud to be a part of the Ottawa Senators hockey team and the Ottawa community. You'll love to see it.
It's amazing what he's been able to accomplish in terms of gaining the fan support so quickly after coming over in that trade on March 1st. So, yeah, Chychrun's a great call. Now, defensively, we still want to see that pair take another step with Thomas Chabot and Jacob Chychrun. We can maybe touch on that in the last segment, but the good vibes have to continue with more standouts. Before we get to an official standout, the fourth line wasn't great this weekend. But I got to give a shout out to Parker Kelly because he's actually impressed me, man. Penalty killing. He had good stick positioning. He was being feisty. He was pissing people off. Like, that's the type of game Parker Kelly has to play to be successful.
Well, if we're doing honorable mention standouts, I might be stealing this one from you, Ross, but I want to do it. Ridley Gregg looked great out there. Like, this guy has so much energy. Like, the Tarasenko goal, shout out Tarasenko, first goal as an Ottawa Senator is an absolute beauty. That doesn't happen without Ridley Gregg. The first goal of the home opener, that doesn't happen. Ridley Gregg comes in, makes a good hit, keeps things going. I just thought he looked great. Or was that Ridley Gregg?
Yeah, it was.
Play? Yeah,
it was.
Okay.
Huge hit to separate the puck.
Yeah, so he's playing with so much energy, and I want, like, whatever happens with Norris and Pinto, they got to find a way to get Ridley Gregg staying up here and in the mix, because he's showing that he's got a game, a B game, and a C game, and he can provide different qualities to his game and help his teammates in so many different areas.
So many different areas. And that line, like, it's such a misfits line. Ridley Gregg with Matthew Joseph and Vladimir Tarasenko.
Yeah. Did you think when Vladdy and his agent are talking to Dorion, they're like, well, here's the plan. We're going to get you playing with Matthew Joseph and Ridley Gregg. That's probably not how they drew it up, but it's looking pretty good now.
Yeah, it works. And you know what else works? Having one of the best young defensemen in the National Hockey League. Our third Sens Central standout from the weekend. We got Brady Tkachuk, we got Jacob Chychrun, and oh my goodness, Jake Sanderson looks even better than I thought he would.
And Ross, we found ourselves so many times, you're following the play. There's kind of a misread on defense, and then a certain number 85 comes back and makes an incredible play.
Flying.
And we just look at each other both times and are like, or every time, and are just like, it's Jake Sanderson. Of course, that's who it is. Like, every time there's a key, quick, smart defensive play to be made, whether it's getting the stick in, whether it's using your skating as a strength, he's right there and he gets it done. Jake Sanderson is absolutely incredible. And that's the thing, like, Sens fans know all the little things he does right. I think fans around the league, they look at the point totals and they're flabbergasted by the contract, but it's the kind of things that he does that doesn't show up on the Sportsnet highlight packs. That is really what Sens fans and everyone that knows what's going on likes about Jake Sanderson.
Well, they're going to learn pretty quickly. I mean, he had 3 points in 2 games this weekend.
And how about that shot? Like, I didn't know Jake Sanderson had that shot in him, and it looked good.
Oh yeah, he kept it low, and it just seeing eye right past the glove of Kata Hot there in game 1 at home of the season. But Jake Sanderson, I feel like he's one of those players where you have to be in the building to see him, because in these defensive situations, like, he had a diving breakup against Tampa. He had another one where he slid to break up a 2-on-1. And those plays, he starts out of what would be the camera angle on TV. And he is flying. Like, there's plays where he's in on the forecheck almost, but he's still the first man back. His skating is, to say it's elite would be an understatement. My question to you, is he the best defenseman on the team already?
Yeah,
he is.
He is. And that's because, like, there's certain defensemen that have certain attributes, but Jake Sanderson's all-around game, like, even there's not many attributes that other defensemen are better than Jake Sanderson. Like, the only thing I would say is Chychrun and his shot.
Yeah.
Every other category that you want from a defenseman, Jake Sanderson is better than every other defenseman on this team.
Man, what a weekend. What a weekend for the Ottawa Senators. Vladimir Tarasenko, another honorable mention. He had a sick performance in both games, really. Like,
Yeah,
he was probably better in Sunday's game than Saturday. And we haven't even looked at any of the analytics. This was all eye test, Pilsy.
Yeah, big time eye test vibes from this one.
I'm curious to see if it matches up with the eye test here with the Ottawa Senators last night in terms of who was on the ice when the Senators had their best expected goals. Shocker. Jake Sanderson, number 1, Brady Tkachuk, number 3, Ridley Gregg, number 7, Tarasenko, 8. Like, that was a dominant performance. It was almost a shame that they were only up 1 goal, because they deserve to be up more early. And stick taps is Matt Tompkins guy. He looked competent for his first NHL game. The Lightning goalie, 29 years old.
Yeah, and the good thing is he looked competent, but not out of this worldly, which sometimes players playing in their first NHL games up against the Sens tend to do. So thankfully that wasn't the case here.
Correct. All right. On the other side, we'll continue dissecting what was an amazing weekend in Ottawa. That's next. You're listening to Locked On Senators.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at eBay Motors. Guys, after this episode, I'm making Pilsy's pilgrimage back home, a 6-hour drive. So I want to make sure my car is ready to roll for that. And the best way to do that is go to eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's what brings home the winning trophy, and it's what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. That's what it's all about. From superchargers, from roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed like Matthew Joseph, power like Brady Tkachuk, or style like Jake Sanderson, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, that part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. So they're not messing around here, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. All the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to turn your car into an MVP. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers. Check it out, eBay Motors.
Today's episode is also brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. You might have missed the postcast this weekend. We did it exclusively at the Glebe Central Pub last night, but we will be back with the postcast on Wednesday. The postcast is always brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub, and you know to visit them at 779 Bank Street. Great vibes. We were there for probably too long? Not possible. We were there last night. Let's put it that way. Had a fantastic time, but we were there because we were taking advantage of the Sens shuttle. And how easy was that ride?
There's nothing better than the Sens shuttle. And Ross, we got glowing reviews from your family that took the shuttle as well. Everybody, if you're thinking about taking the shuttle, but you're not sure, it's a great spot to meet new Sens fans. Everybody's having an absolute blast on the bus. You go to Glebe Central Pub, meet Blair. He's an absolute beauty. Ashley, also an absolute beauty. They will take care of you at the Glebe Central Pub, and we had so much fun on our time there.
And our guy at Sens Obsessed, absolute beauty there too.
Yes,
so
nice.
we even got the servers there. Our Sens fans. Everybody loves the Sens at the Glebe Central Pub. Go check them out, 779 Bank Street, and take the Sens shuttle to and from Ottawa Senators games. All right, you're listening to Locked On Senators. It's October 16th, and the vibes could not be higher around this team. Like, what have we missed? Goaltending. How do you think Anton Forsberg, Jonas Korpisalo played on the weekend?
Hashtag goalie friendly show. We're 28 minutes in, and we haven't talked about goaltending yet. In back-to-back wins, Ross, what are we doing? Look, I've been saying it for months. I wanted Anton Forsberg to start the home opener. The guy dominates in home openers, and he did it yet again, 3-0. I thought he played really well. And the thing is, like, as a goalie, if you're not getting the puck and feeling things early on, it's easy to let in a quick goal and you're not quite feeling it yet. But I thought they both did a really good job settling in. Jonas Korpisalo, his glove is looking so good. He didn't do any reach over glove saves to stop a blocker shot, so you love to see that. And he really was sharp at the end of the game. Both goalies, they kind of made their mark by being strong and keeping this team in it at the end of the game when the other teams kind of pressed in garbage time.
I would agree with all that. And if you're watching on YouTube as well, I'm just pulling up the stats from the weekend. So the last two games for the Ottawa Senators, and hope you guys can see that. Just a little something for the people watching on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Goes a long way to help the show. We also want to know who your Sens Central standouts were. So let us know that in the comments below. But yeah, I'm with you there. Korpisalo, like, neither goal I think was bad. I think they were good. But what really impressed me, and you say the glove save, with 4 minutes left in the game against Tampa, just like a bang-bang play, great glove save by Korpisalo. It was just, the right save at the right time. And I think Ottawa had failed to get that over the last couple of years. There were some deflating goals, and the guys in net really kind of avoided that happening. And then you look, I mean, the assist is just gravy, but when a goalie gets an assist, you're dang right. I'm going to, make comparables around the league. And I'm going to tell you that Jonas Korpisalo has more points than Tage Thompson right now.
I mean, I would have predicted that. Absolutely. Jonas Korpisalo getting in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely love that for the goaltending. So you're just hoping that they're not shaky. And something, and you can attest to this as well, it's like, it's tough when you don't face shots in the first period. And now that's both games. You mentioned it earlier, like they were out shooting them 21-6.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like both Forsberg and Korpisalo, those are guys that typically are used to getting a lot of shots. So when you start off not feeling it and you got to find a way to stay in the game, it can be difficult, but they both did a great job and both brought home the dubs.
Are we far enough in the show to voice any level of concern on Thomas Chabot's play?
I mean, I want to give him some slack because he is playing on the right side. I don't need to go into it. You guys know how I feel about Thomas Chabot playing on the right side. I don't think it's an ideal spot. He's not set up for success there, but luckily it didn't end up being a major factor in the results of the games, Ross. But certainly from Thomas Chabot, you want to see a little bit more of what he's good at, breaking the puck up the ice. You want to see that smooth skating. And I think it's just a matter of him and Chychrun trying to figure out how they can be more positionally sound. You see, like, it was driving us crazy seeing them switch all the time. Sometimes both of them are on the same side. And I think it's just going to take some time for them to know how to properly position themselves throughout the game.
Okay. Yeah. I'm giving everybody till Sweden, give or take. But man, I would also say that, and of course, like, they have to sign Pinto and have Norris back, but I think Rourke Chartier is making a pretty good case that he should be the fourth line center on this team.
Yeah, he's definitely outplayed Casty so far, and you guys know I'm a Casty guy, but it's been kind of tough sledding for Casty first couple of games, and Rourke Chartier, he ripped one off the post early on in Sunday's game, so that would have been nice to get that tuck for him, but he's looked good out there. And the thing that you really notice about Rourke Chartier is he doesn't have kind of one defining attribute, but what I'll really give him praise for is the effort level. Like, that, this is a guy that realizes his opportunity that he's getting right now, and he's making the most of it. There's no shifts where you're seeing him slack. He's putting in 110% every time. And DJ Smith is a guy that loves players that play with pace. So that's going to go a long way for him here.
So that said, Cassie doing what needs to be done. He's averaging 654 per game. And maybe some of that is based on what he's doing when he's actually out there, but he is still leading this team at 68% in the dot.
That's surprising, Ross. I hadn't noticed that he was still dominating. And we commented a couple times, Rourke Chartier was brought in to take defensive zone draws. And I've said to you, this is usually Mark Kastelik's position. So that's good that he's still snapping him back. I mean, a guy that strong is going to win faceoffs more often than not.
Just while we're looking at faceoffs, kind of a funny stat here, and it just shows you, like, Giroux, veteran, 58% in the dot. We know how good he is. We don't have to go over that. But how funny is this? Giroux's taken 29 defensive zone draws, way more than anyone else in the Sens. Next is Rourke Chartier at 13. Look at Brady, 10 of his 12 draws in the offensive zone.
I mean, that's the line you want when you're in the offensive zone, Timmy, Brady, and Claude.
Right, so. But Claude's taking him in the D zone. It's like, Brady, get out of there, dude.
Well, I think that's actually a smart strategy, in my opinion, because I feel like Brady's going to be the kind of guy in draws that he's going to tie everyone up, and then you can get the loose puck, and then you can send it back, whereas Claude's going to get those clean snapbacks, and then you can transition the puck up the ice. So it seems to be working out in their favor, Ross, so I don't mind keeping it going like this.
And then neutral zone, Timmy's taken 14 of his 26 draws in the neutral zone. He's 42% in the dot. What else have we missed on the game, man? I feel like we've kind of hit on everything. That's what Travis Konechny did to Eric Branstrom. Like, how did he get up on that hit? And how is there no highlight of that hit? I was like, that was enormous in the building.
We've been talking about that. That was a huge hit. I mean, I'm a Brandy guy, but that was a tough look for him. But hey, you got to credit him. If you're a small guy and you get rocked like that, the best you can do is get up and shake it off, and Brandy did that. So I'll give him props.
He got up. He was battling, man. I loved what Hamonic brought. He brought some physicality. I didn't like that. I don't want to say anyone went down easy, but those cross checks in front of the net happen a million times a game. But the guy folded, so Hamonic got a penalty on that. I didn't love that call. Ref, you suck.
There was a lot of calls we didn't like.
Yeah, but hey, a little bit both ways. The Philly game, at least, the Flyers got a couple penalties where we're like, okay, we're calling everything.
Hey, this is typical though. Early on in the season, the refs are trying to find that line, right? And the players are pushing to see, okay, is this past the line? Is this on the line? So it's a lot of kind of trial and error and figuring things out. So you know what? The Sens got the win, so we'll give them a break here.
Well, the Sens literally have a break. They're off today. They'll be back at practice at 10:30 tomorrow morning. Will Josh Norris be skating on one of the 4 lines? Do you think? Not a doctor, Brandon Piller.
Yeah, certainly not a doctor. I mean, as long as he's not paired with a defenseman or on the right wing of the 4th line, that'll be a good sign.
Or lefty on the 4th pair?
Yeah, like
Skate with Jack Capuano as a pair?
getting DJ Smith back out there. I don't know, Ross. Honestly, at this point, like I would love to have some sort of bold statement. I would love to have kind of hypotheticals and hyperbolic statements about Josh Norris, but the team is clicking without him, and I have no clue whether this guy's going to come back soon, later, or never. So
yeah, I put him with Drake Batherson, and I think Batherson's probably the most misunderstood. If you just look at the stat line, he had 3 games -3. I thought Batherson was an inch away from breaking out offensively the last couple of games.
Yeah, he looked fine. Like definitely there's guys that we've already mentioned that have kind of outshined him in these couple games, but I don't have an issue with Batherson's start.
No, the only player, and Kubalik comes as advertised. This guy, and I turn to you every time. I was like, this guy hates having the puck on his stick.
Yeah, as soon as that gets on the stick, he's either moving it or taking a shot on net. Yeah, Kubalik
he almost scored.
Want to hold it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like he has looked good. He's had a couple good chances, so that's nice to see.
I think he might be the odd man out, though. And I mean, you called that before the weekend games, but I think it just further solidifies because look, if you, and maybe this is too big of an if, having Stützle, Norris, and Pinto all available to you, but if you do, then Ridley Gregg can just be where Kubalik is on the wing.
That's the thing.
And then you're good to go.
And at this point, like Matthew Joseph is not a bad contract. You're adding a sweetener to get rid of.
No, and he plays well with good players. We knew that before, but he was kind of stuck on that 3rd line. Like he can be forechecking play.
Absolutely.
Leave him with Tarasenko. Like those two seem to be moving well together because Tarasenko is never going to be the speed demon, and Matthew Joseph's never going to be the guy with the trigger.
Yeah.
So you put those two together, and then man, like throw Pinto in the middle there. That looks good.
That's a nice trio. And I'll kind of shape my Branny versatility argument and put that on Joseph, right? Like that's a guy that can play both sides of the wing, left or right. He's a guy that can play up and down your lineup. He's a guy that can kill penalties really well. If you want, you can get him on the power play. He's probably not sneaking in there with all the offensive talent, but he can play there is what I'm saying. He's got speed. He's putting in so much more effort, and he had a couple, like his goal was nice. He ripped one off the post as well. Like his shot, I think, is underrated. And this is someone that now that you have a better look at what he can do, the last thing you want to do is move him and add a sweetener. So look, I think versatility wise, you want to keep Branny, you want to keep Matthew Joseph. Kubalik only has 1 year here. There's kind of been rumors floating around that he's after a long-term extension after, which I mean, fair. He's at that age where you want to cash in and get one big deal. So I think that might end up having to be the play.
We will see. Plenty of time to dissect this as we move on. As Pilsy said, the pilgrimage begins for him back to Collingwood. I'm flying back to Winnipeg tonight, so we'll have tomorrow's Locked On Senators right at the same time that morning skate is going on. We'll bring you the latest of where Josh Norris is. Is Shane Pinto back in town? Can we get a contract done? Can we get a deal done? Michael Andlauer heard, because those We Want Pinto chants were loud, and we tweeted out a video of that. And I was actually tweeting out the video because I was getting ready at the end of the game because we posted the goofiest video I think we've ever taken. But I was like, you know what? Few people walk by, some F-bombs. I was like, you know what? Let's take this off the YouTube. So we are putting it exclusively on our Patreon. So if you want to go see that, subscribe to the Patreon. Helps us help the show. We met a lot of cool citizens this weekend. Some of them are in the Patreon as well. They've had good thing to say. We met Chikrin Run last night, was sitting right behind us, and the Ross brothers were there too. And no, it's been great meeting everybody and getting to see familiar faces now that it's been 4 or 5. It's been our 5th trip now, right?
Yeah.
6th.
I think
6th. Because the Montreal game was the first one that April.
Yep.
Or no, the home opener, but we just kind of went solo. That was the first game after COVID.
Yep.
But like trip-wise, the Toronto game for the home opener in 2021, then the Montreal game was the first real meetup, then the home opener, the Chris Neil game, end of last season, and now this one. Our 6th trip now. Unbelievable, man. More to come.
Yeah, and it gets better every time.
What's our record?
We're 12-0-1. Like that's is honestly insane. Like the only game we've been together that they've lost was the Chris Neil retirement, and that was in overtime. Like,
and they should have won it.
Yeah, people are saying the Senators got to get us out to more games. People are saying that.
They know where to find us.
Yeah, we're not hiding.
Any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me, and I'll try not to get too emotional here, Ross.
Like me before home opener?
Yeah, or Jacob Chicken here, but it's just reflecting on the weekend and looking back. Like, I just want to say thanks to everyone that makes these experiences so awesome. And we always say it, Ross. People come up to us and they're thanking us and they're so happy for what we do. And every time it's like, no, I'm Uno reversing that on you. Thank you. You guys are why we love doing this. Getting to meet everyone and bringing Sens fans together and celebrating being a Sens fan is absolutely incredible. I can't believe this is what we get to do for a job, and we get to enjoy this. And for some reason, people seem to like us and are following along with our show. So yeah, to wrap it up, my final thoughts are I'm so thankful that we have this opportunity to do this, that everyone is so kind when we meet them. We're fired up to meet all Sens fans, Sens Central citizens. You guys are the absolute best, and can't wait to make more of these memories down the road.
It's just getting started, man. We're nearing 900 episodes of this show, and it really feels like we're just starting to hit our stride. So way more to come, and hopefully it matches with the success of the team on the ice. Still a plentiful bowl of questions with Norris, Pinto, who's going, what's all going to happen, but the vibes continue to rise. Win. What's next? We'll find out Wednesday, but next the Sens will skate tomorrow. If you're listening to this right as it comes out, Pillsy and I are crushing Shawarma Palace, so we're going to go order that right now. Get this one out. Have a great day, Sens fans. Bask in the win of the last 2 days, but then we got to turn the page tomorrow because the job is just getting started. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another live version in the heart of our nation's capital in Ottawa, Ontario, of the Locked On Senators podcast. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.